Hey guys, Super Josh XD001. Okay, and I'm joined by Jiggy Lookback. Say hello.
Jiggy, look back.
Woo! Okay, so we're here today to have a little quick discussion and analyze a little bit of the Yooka-Laylee or Yooka-Re-playlee game that just got announced by Playtonic Games. And let's start off with our history with not only or history and love, I guess, with both Rare and Yuka or Playtonic, I guess. Like, did you back you or you can tell I haven't done this before.
Did I back the Kickstarter?
Yeah,
No.
You did not back the Kickstarter.
I did not. So I don't know why I didn't. I probably just didn't have money, to be honest with you. Because I definitely would have supported it, but I was excited about it, and when I knew, but they had already met their goal like early on. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it took long for them to make their goal and make this game. So I was excited about it. I knew it wasn't going to be Banjo, so I never had that in my brain. So I was never really expecting Banjo. I was expecting something that was like Banjo a little bit. And I was honestly happy with the first game. I mean, with Yooka-Laylee, I got it on my PlayStation like day one, and I played through it. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. My Rare history goes back. I mean, I got my N64, played Donkey Kong, Banjo, all that. My name is Jiggy Lookback, so obviously I love Rare. Look behind me, I've got posters and, game cartridges and all sorts of nostalgia. As far as Playtonic, though, Yooka-Laylee is the only thing that I have really played from them. I haven't even played Impossible Lair yet, even though I own it. I just haven't. It's on my list.
That'll be your penance. You're gonna play Impossible Air, or you're never gonna be accepted into heaven.
Whoa, that's pretty dark.
Okay, I'm sorry. But I mean, you should really try that out if you like Donkey Kong Country. I do think that is a really great game. Like, I think it's just as fun as Tropical Freeze on Switch or Wii.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend that he doesn't love platformers necessarily, and he specifically asked me what I thought about Impossible Lair. I'm like, I haven't played it, and he's like, but that's your thing. He's like, you play those games. He's like, how did I play it before you? I loved it. You're definitely gonna love it. I'm like, I probably will. I just haven't gotten to it.
Yeah, maybe you're just not in the 2D platforming kick just yet.
Well, yeah, I gotta be in the mood. I gotta,
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Country. I like Donkey Kong Country, but it's not as engaging to me as the 3D. But it's not to say I dislike it. I don't dislike them at all. It's just like, if I'm given the choice between 3D and 2D, I'm gonna pick 3D most of the time. And there are a few exceptions to that, but Donkey Kong Country itself is not one of them. So I'm like, okay, Donkey Kong Country. Like, that's what I'm expecting going into Impossible Lair, so I'm not, like, super, like, it doesn't feel like a priority to me, I guess.
I gotcha. But yeah, like on your own time whenever you get the chance, though. Yeah, like, it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, just moving back more towards the 3D scene with Yooka-Laylee. Okay, with Rebuild or Replay. I did back the original Yooka-Laylee on Kickstarter. I did grew up playing Rare games. My first game being Donkey Kong 64, and then throughout middle school, then when the Wii was out, then I got more introduced to Banjo-Kazooie and fell in love with that franchise. And then when I heard that they were doing a Kickstarter for a spiritual successor, I jumped on that, and I backed it as high as I could because I wanted every cent go towards a spiritual successor just so I can have more 3D platforming Rare style games, because during that time frame in the gaming industry, Nintendo was the only one making 3D platformers outside of indies. But I just wanted to see that game succeed. And yeah, sure, I didn't like it initially at first, but it was the second playthrough that made me appreciate it a little more, and then kept replaying it ever since. Probably replayed it more than Banjo-Kazooie, if I'm going to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just because it's on modern hardware, easy to boot up. Okay, without having to set up a bunch of wires just to play the old. Without just this.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I don't have to set up the old console.
I have everything wired up through an HDMI switcher, so all I have to do is hit a button and I can switch. But it is still annoying because I have like a pile of wired controllers right here, which does get irritating. But yeah, I enjoyed it from the get-go. I didn't really have many issues. I mean, I see the flaws, I guess. But my favorite Rare game is Banjo-Tooie. So Banjo-Tooie, I feel Yooka-Laylee is sort of an in-between Kazooie and Tooie, kind of in its design.
Yeah.
Because it's more collectathon based. It's more like Kazooie in that sense, but then it's got these big sprawling worlds like Tooie. The thing for me that I really disliked was the stamina bar. That's really the only thing that I'm like, why do I have this? And if you had multiple tonics, if you could use multiple tonics, which I know for a fact is something they changed in the Yooka-Laylee.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. I guess looking at the differences, it's going to be interesting to see what they have done to kind of revitalize this game, because on my I did a video defending Yooka-Laylee, just talking about like the common complaints that I hear about Yooka-Laylee and how I think some of them are justified, how some of them aren't, and kind of, you know what I mean, just kind of like a general synopsis of the complaints and what I think it does well, and kind of pros and cons a little bit. But on that response feed, I had a bunch of like Playtonic devs like come in and basically, like Daily Kong was one of them. She came in, was like reading all the comments, and she's like, "Oh yeah, everything you said, our team has discussed, we've talked about," and I was assuming that she was referring to a sequel, a follow-up, which she probably is too. But I didn't realize that that remake was in the very near future, because I just put that video out like last month. So we're talking like last month, so they've been working on that for a while and addressing a lot of the complaints that I was receiving on my feed. You know, that covers controls, the camera, the stamina bar, the empty worlds, the kind of Rextro super bland play through this twice challenges.
Yeah, the arcade games.
Yeah, the arcade games, and Kartos, hopefully not removed. I don't want it removed, but refined and playing a little bit smoother. It'll be really interesting to see the differences, because I mean, it's got to be worth it for me. It's got to be worth it for me to repurchase this game.
I think there are some like differences, as I posted in the Discord chat here, like some of the just like some screenshots from the game that the Playtonic provided. Like there are some noticeable difference, like the latest two that I'm showing right here, like a quick little video of Yooka looking at Ivory Towers. You see that mountain background in the factory in the distance, but then you look at the logo right next to it, and like there's more detail there that I never noticed before in the original. Like I don't know if that's like part of the final area of the factory or maybe a whole new zone. Yeah, hard to say, but yeah. And I also noticed this too, which I'm going to be uploading here right now. Okay. And like if you like play this clip and it's muted, so you won't hear any sound. Like if you look in the background, you see not 2.5D quills, but actual 3D quills. So that's like one big major change that I noticed that I think a lot of people overlooked, or haven't looked back at the original game quite a while though, or at least like going back to the Shipwreck Creek. Enemies in the overworld, like right by the creek. I think they were though, but like we're seeing like World 1 enemies in the main hub here, which I think is a little odd, but also kind of interesting, I guess.
Yeah, it just makes you wonder how much has actually changed. Because like the coins are not worrying to me, but I'm almost wondering if they addressed the empty world situation rather than taking the quills and strategically placing them different places. They just populated the world with more collectibles, which is kind of not exactly the right way to do it, but it's not a bad thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Because they basically said the coins, if I remember right, they said the coins were going to be the way that you purchase tonics now. And you can get multiple tonics active at the same time. Which I hope there's a lot cooler tonics, because
Oh yeah.
a lot of them were like, oh, 1 health slot, or stamina recharges faster, or like, just get rid of the stamina bar, please. Just get rid of it. I don't need it. Okay, let me rephrase that. It makes sense for like your sonar attacks and like projectiles to have like some sort of stamina or like point system that you have so many shots. But as far as like movement, it should never be a thing. You should never have stamina with movement. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, like, it does get it is a little annoying when you're like trying to explore the world, and like the best way to get around is the reptile roll, and then you run out of stamina.
Yep.
And it is a little annoying.
Yeah. It's not my thing. I hate that. And then the tonics they give you barely negate some of the effects of that, because if you don't use the tonics to like reduce your stamina on your roll or something, it's burning through really fast.
Yeah, and then you have to stand around and wait a few seconds. It's kind of kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, there was a lot of, that's something I said in my video. There's a lot of like, I would do things and then I'd just be forced to stand in place and wait for my stamina to recharge before I do something. It didn't make the game more challenging. It made the game like more tedious. It was just like, it didn't add any challenge. It didn't add a level of strategy. It just hurt the gameplay and made it slower. Which, if any, that's just a game dev thing. Like, if anything makes your gameplay slower, it's not a welcome addition. Like, you always want to be moving quick. You always want things to not overstay their welcome. So, like the Rextra arcades, I think if you played it once and got 1 pagey from it, and rather than playing it twice to get the second pagey, those would have been more welcome. Because they're almost always slower the second time too.
Yeah, like that's one annoying thing that I always dread with Rextro's arcade is like I'll play the game, but then like I'll beat the supposed high score, but I can't do that until I played it first, then play it for a second time to beat that high score. Yeah, I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I will say this though, I do like at least like where I'll get like 1 little point on the first play, and then just stand still and let the timer go out, and I'll get a free pagey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of works for the second and third world arcade games. Though I think like with replaying, like I wonder, are they going to improve those, or are they going to introduce new mini games to play?
I bet we're going to see a little bit of both, but I bet for the most part it's going to be new mini games. If I had to bet.
Yeah, because they have that little arcadic nature, but at the same time they're not exactly like fun at times. Especially like the first one, Kartos Racing. It's kind of mindless.
Let me tell you something. This has been a problem at Rare since, oh gosh,
Game Boy Advance.
at least I was gonna say Donkey Kong 64.
Oh yeah.
They always put mini games within their game, and they're not of all the same quality. A lot of the times it's like 80% bad and 20% good, and they stick so many mini. It's like it's a reoccurring thing. They just constantly they're like throw a bunch of mini games in there, and the mini games are rarely good. Rarely.
Like I'm just reminded of the Game Boy Advance version of Donkey Kong Country 3. How they added in like some new mini games like this Cranky Kong Kung Fu game where you're just blocking the enemies. Okay, or like having like this weird 3D-esque like mini game with Dixie Kong going through a tunnel. And then there's like this boat mini game that's kind of reminiscent of some other Rare title that they made long ago, but now in Donkey Kong Country form. And it's like cool, but doesn't really need to be there at the same time. I mean,
Let me tell you, they have different different layers of mini games that are acceptable. So like Donkey Kong 64, for example, the minecart rides, great. Those are awesome. That is an example of a fantastic mini game. The Donkey Kong pads with the blasting and barrels, I think that too is an example of a pretty good mini game. It's fun. They don't require a whole lot. They're just kind of a break-up gameplay sort of a thing.
Yeah.
But then you have the barrels that have mini games that are like Beaver Bother and the slot machine, and all of those can just disappear, and they don't add anything to the game other than more stuff to do, which isn't always welcome.
I mean, like in Yooka-Laylee, okay, like there are some like little mini games that are kind of fun, like say like
Racing Nimbo.
yeah, like I would say not only Nimbo, but like the ball, getting that ball mini game that was in World 3 and World 4, the mini golf game.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's games like those where it's like simple yet you're playing them within the world of the game. It's not like some one-off sort of thing like with Rextro's arcade games.
Yeah. I almost wish they did a Rextro Arcade World, where that's what you did. You went to the different machines and did different games rather than have him randomly in a world. If that makes sense. Because in the hub he kind of has that.
Yeah, like he has like his own like little section in the hub, where you can play any of the mini games, especially the ones that are not even in any of the worlds in that arcade room.
Yeah, I almost wish it would have just been that, and then you play through it and you get a pagey and that's it, and then you do another one, get a pagey, that's it, and then give you the option if you want to play it again. But nobody's going to play it again realistically.
Yeah. I think there should be more so like an optional novelty and for achievements rather than just completion.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, it's one of the things I'm not concerned about, but like updating the graphics and stuff, fine. The game, I mean, it looks beautiful, but honestly, I think the normal Yooka-Laylee looks beautiful. I didn't have a problem with the way it looked. I think it still holds up. I played it on my ultra-wide monitor in 4K, and I thought it looked fantastic. And this is, like, within a month. This is, like, last month or so.
Yeah.
And now this one looks like it's a classic Rare remake, like how they did Conquer, and they add the fur texture.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, just a bunch of detail, and it's not a bad thing. It's just that's kind of what it is, and that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Like it's gonna be like a Conquer Live and Reloaded situation, where it's like gameplay tweaks. Some might be fundamental to the actual gameplay structure, but overall it's basically the same game. And there's like no new worlds. There's like I don't expect there to be new worlds at all.
I almost kind of feel like the new worlds that people are probably asking for probably should be saved for a sequel and just focus on just trying to fix up Yooka-Laylee from all its flaws that it suffers from.
Yeah, what I think they're going to end up doing is filling the world out with a little bit more padding, like some. They say they're adding some challenges.
Yeah,
I'm
like
curious about that. I don't think it's going to be anything major though. I think it's all going to be minor. I think we might get a situation where they add like 30 pages to the game or something.
yeah.
Or you know what I mean? And then you like think Mario 64 DS.
Oh yeah.
Think that. And like maybe you might have like an extra small area or something, but you're not going to get a massive like extra world. And you're probably going to get extra collectibles. The coins, I'm concerned about the coins, like I said earlier, just because I don't know that that's going to solve your problem of quill placement so much as fill out the world with more stuff to collect.
They could potentially, like, probably lower the amount of quills to find, though. So, like, maybe instead of going from 200, they'll drop it down to 100. Okay, and then maybe that 200 for some of those quills will be replaced by those coins. Like, that's probably a possibility right there.
Yeah, but then it's like, what's the point?
Well, I mean,
And it's like, what's the point if they're replacing the quills with the coins? There's no point to that.
Well, I think it's more so like quills for Trouser, coins for Bendy, so that way you have like two different collectibles for two different characters to get stuff from. Like Bendy getting more tonics, especially brand new tonics according to the features here, like tonics with all new flavors and being able to equip more, which I think is a cool new feature, like based off the description. And then Trouser's just getting all those moves just from the quills.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see the same amount of quills. I think it's gonna be, if they're smart, they placed them strategically better. But they probably didn't touch the quills as far as like moving them, and they probably just added the coins. That's what I'm getting at. That feels like I'm hoping I'm surprised. They may have done even more work. I guess I'm looking at this very like pessimistically and being like very like it's not a bad thing, but I don't expect a lot from it other than a fresh coat of paint and some minor tweaks. I don't see this as a giant remake. I see this as a slight remaster, sort of like it's putting the same taste in my mouth that The Last of Us did when they remade the first game with the second game's engine, but the first game was already sort of like remastered on PlayStation 4, so it already had like higher resolution and stuff. That's the level of remake that I'm looking at this with. So it's like, yeah, it's got tweaked things, it's got a little bit extra content, a little bit different, but it's basically the same game.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to pay for it if it's like I'll pay a little bit for it because I want to support, but I'm not willing to pay a ton for it. I would love if it was a DLC that you could buy as like an upgrade pack or something for the current build, because the reality is, and you do too, sir, I have 3 or 4 copies of Yooka-Laylee. Judging by your background, so do you. So it's like, do I really want to buy this same game again?
You know, like I do think that's a pretty interesting point, though. But like especially price wise, like I don't think they'll go full AAA price. I don't think the original did either. I think it was originally $40 when it originally released, and then it was $50 on Switch because of Switch tax, $10 Switch tax. Yeah. Okay, and then over the time, like I noticed when I'm looking up on Steam, the game is now $30, but arguably it's less than $30. It's like $5 because they put it constantly on sale.
Yeah.
And all that though. But like if they were to when they reveal the price, I'm probably hoping that it's going to be like maybe 40, maybe 30. It depends, but you know it could be 30.
Yeah, I feel 30 or less. For me.
But yeah, like if it's just the same game with just those improvements, then yeah. Oh yeah, remake and all that, like compared to Last of Us. That's an interesting situation because, like, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's odd that they're doing that, Okay, like re-releasing the same game, especially for the same generation, or perhaps if they're not going to support PS4 and Xbox, and maybe not even Switch for that matter, with this remake remaster. I also kind of think that they had to do this because they couldn't really update the original Yooka-Laylee in the same with those changes in mind, because I think there's like some rule in place when it comes to releasing your game on storefronts that you can't really change the fundamental structure of the game itself. Like you can fix up like bugs, or maybe you could like fix some like one little enemy placement or something that's been bugging players or something, but you can't really change the whole structure of it. So I think that's why they are doing this, because this is the only option to fixing this game in a professional manner without like making it free or something.
Interesting. If that's a real rule, that's a dumb rule, but I've never heard that before, but I wouldn't put it past anything.
I mean, like, I know Shin Megami Tensei 5, that came out on Switch. Like, yeah, like that game was fine and all, for at least for what I played. But now they're re-releasing it as Shin Megami Tensei Vengeance, and they're releasing that on Switch with brand new content and no DLC or anything from the original. But
Which, by the way, I don't think this is coming to Switch.
Oh, it is coming to Switch, actually.
This is coming to Switch?
Yeah, Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Oh no, Yooka-Re-playlee.
Yeah,
I meant.
Yeah, I did say I don't think it will come to Switch. But I know that game can be purchased on Xbox Series X and PS5, I think, because those consoles are backwards compatible. But yeah, like I do think like it's I think the replay is too graphically intense for Switch. I mean, heck, like the Xbox One and PS4 version, 1080p, 30 FPS, if I remember correctly, on that, and then Yooka-Laylee on Switch, like that was 900p and 30 FPS, but like with long load time. But I mean, like it took them like quite a hard work just to get that game to run and look as good on Switch, because because they could not get that to run on Wii U. That's why they canceled that. So that's like telling a lot about how much they really try to cram into a Switch version there. So that's why I don't think we're going to see replay on the original Switch hardware. It's going to be a Switch 2 game.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it being able to run, especially with Laylee's like fur texture and everything. It seems like it'd be too demanding. And if we did get a release on Switch, it would be a watered down version, and at that point, just play the normal one anyways.
I mean, at worst, it looks like Mortal Kombat 1 or X10.
Yeah, but then at that point, it's like graphical fidelity. Like you're not gaining anything, maybe gameplay wise, but you're not gaining too much. So. Play it on PC, folks.
Yeah, I mean, like even at Possible Air, which does look good on Switch, does have a little bit of its blurred moments on when you play the game, even though they did manage to get that to run at 60 FPS. But I think that's only because it's a 2D side scroller, and plus the load times were kind of long too, especially for a lot of Switch games or games on Switch that have long load times. So it'd probably just be best to make it a Switch 2 game.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm with you.
Nope.
But
let's see here. There's one thing that I am interested in finding out, because this is something that I am so upset that they never bother addressing since the game came out, or since the Switch version came out, or even more so like when they updated the Switch version with the N64 tonic. The inept bot in World 5 Galleon Galaxy. Like, you remember about that? Yeah, like you go talk to him and he's like telling you something that's going to happen and it's loading, but they never bothered to update that or tell us like what exactly that bot is referring to. So now I'm wondering, are they gonna revisit that in this replay, or are they going to completely drop it? I'm kind of curious because I've been wondering about that since the backer kit demo that they released right before the original came out.
Well, let me throw this out there too. So I'm working on currently Mysteries of Yooka-Laylee video to put out this weekend. Okay, so you're one of the first 2 people to know that.
Yeah.
So normally I announce it, but I didn't announce it because I'm like, I'm just gonna drop Yooka-Laylee content because it's a hot topic.
Yeah.
But one thing I was also wondering about was the crystal skulls that you collect in every level, because there's no explanation, there's no reason for them. If you collect them all, you get an achievement, but there's nothing. There's no build off of that. They're just there. And like, why are they there? And they're supposed to be like a stop and swap kind of a deal, like a nod to stop and swap, but I want to know. Give me something. There's nothing.
Yeah, it's pirate treasure. So like, what is the sequel going to be more pirate themed? I mean, like, is the story and plot of Impossible Lair going to go into the direct sequel to this game?
Right.
Yeah. Who knows?
I want to know.
So many
I want to
questions,
know.
unsolved answers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, and live orchestra.
Oh yeah. I'm kind of curious about that was like a promised feature for the original, and they never did that. Even though I thought that was what the soundtrack for the game was for the longest time, because of how Grant Kirkhope used an orchestrated sound studio for the game's music, and I thought that was what it was, but apparently not. That was weird.
Yeah, one thing I thought was interesting they're adding to the game too is a map.
Yeah.
A map system. Was that really a problem for people?
Well, I guess some people just got very lost in exploring these levels, which, hey, I mean, I've been playing these 3 platformers for years, and I never really got lost. I mean, I did originally get lost in World 3 of Yooka-Laylee, Moody Maze Marsh, but over time I eventually figured it out. I don't think it's like really necessary, but I guess some people really need that map feature. In fact, I think they were originally going to add a map feature in the original Yooka-Laylee for the Wii U version as like a touch screen, or like the secondary screen. Like we'll have a map detail. But I guess because they dropped the Wii U version, they decided to drop the map feature entirely.
Yeah, I mean, that felt like a really weird addition. I'm not mad about it, but is it like going to be a mini map in the UI? Because I don't want that. If it's like a hit select and it pops up, that's fine. It just feels really unnecessary, and I can tell you that out of... Oh gosh, I don't even know. I'd have to look it up, but I'm just gonna guesstimate like 500 people maybe that commented on my Twitter questionnaire about Yooka-Laylee. I don't think I heard one complaint about getting lost or needing a map or something. Yeah, few and far between if it did exist. So
one thing to keep in mind too is that you're only just talking about a small section of Yooka-Laylee players from your community, not the whole fan base or anyone or the whole group of people that played the game since 2017. Okay, because there were some people that were very vocal about the criticisms regarding the flaws of Yooka-Laylee, and I guess Playtonic was kind of looking at those popular videos on YouTube, okay, that were speaking up on this stuff, okay, and I guess probably one of the things too.
But you'd see a popular trend. You know, there's different ways to look at it. There's looking at it from a critique of one person's opinion that all of a sudden everyone kind of takes the aspects of their opinion and adds it to their own, versus a questionnaire that's not affected by anyone's opinion. It's a general statement and people give their own thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay? but I only have. I mean, yes, you're right. It's a small. It's a smaller user base, I guess. But what I'm saying is, the issues that were really present as issues seem to be commented on frequently. Like, for example, the quill placement. People complained about the quill placement often. People complained about the Rextro games often.
Yeah.
People complained that the levels generally felt empty often. But I didn't really hear anyone complain that they got lost.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's where I'm getting at. I'm like, if it's a, you know, if that was a really, like, it could be, but in what I've seen, that really wasn't a huge issue. So much as the worlds are just big and empty.
I think that's pretty much it. Like, I don't think anyone was saying like, "Oh, I need a map in order to play this game because I'm getting lost." No, the only main criticism I heard was worlds were too big. Like, generally just from people who did not like Donkey Kong 64 or Banjo-Tooie's worlds being too huge.
Which I love both those games.
I love Banjo-Tooie. I love Banjo-Tooie. I love Donkey Kong 64. But I don't care if the worlds are big. I like exploring because that's what a 3D platformer collectathon is supposed to be: exploring.
Yes.
And collecting.
And what's funny is, like, I mentioned, like, they're just adding more collectibles to the thing, and the only reason why I'm saying, like, they're throwing more collectibles on and not really addressing the issue is because, you know, I played DK64 so much. I defend that game constantly. I know what the issue is. People always tell me the same thing over and over and over, and I have to argue with them. And I was like, but throwing more collectibles at the problem isn't necessarily going to fix it. But I don't mind more collectibles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, it's not like going to be DK64 levels of collectibles.
No.
Maybe not even
No.
Banjo-Tooie levels of collectibles. I think it's just, I think it's just something to just. I think it's just a secondary collectible, just.
Which they needed. They did need. They did need it.
But like there. But I mean, like, they're there. They're not really needed for the 100% completion, but you know, there if you want to collect them, I guess.
Yeah. I will give my closing thought because I'm gonna have to go in just a second. But I would just want to say my closing thought on Yooka-Re-playlee. I look forward to seeing what it did, what they've changed, learning a little bit more about it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm open to it for sure. I do want to try it. I just don't want to pay an arm and a leg for it. It's not a full price game for me. It's an older game that they put a fresh coat of paint on. I want to see what they did. I want to play it. But what it does do is get me excited for a sequel.
Yeah.
So bring on the sequel. That's what they should have. They should have announced it that way. They should have put a title card saying Yooka-Laylee 2 coming, and then have someone come on and say we're hard at work at Yooka-Laylee or whatever they're gonna call it. Yeah. We're hard at work, but in the meantime, we hope you enjoy this. And then they announced this. That's how they should have done the announcement. Yes. That would have been 100% better. So many people would have been more receptive of it, and now they're kind of doing cleanup, you know, and they're like, oh, we're gonna have a Q&A. This isn't the only project we're working on, because it just put a little bit of a sour taste in people's mouths who were looking for that sequel, waiting for years and years and years. So
yeah, I think they should have probably gotten like a second thought and just be like, okay, if we're gonna announce this remaster, okay, should we also announce we're working on it in the video?
Yeah.
And well, I don't think they expected like there to be a little bit of a mixed backlash / reception for this announcement. But I'm looking forward to it. Like, I'm hoping that it is worth my time to revisit, right, outside just making like better experience, quality of life experience and all that. And yeah, just wait and see, and hopefully get more details, see what else we're to expect from this remaster remake, and maybe hopefully see what our next new project. But with that said, though, any closing thoughts, Jiggy Look Back?
Just excited to see what comes from this. Yeah. I'm excited to see more about it and learn more about it, and I'm really hopeful Playtonic is in a good direction and moving forward and putting out more games. More games the better. I'm not going to complain about it. So
I mean, I just want to see this company thrive. I want to see them succeed, and I just want more games like Yooka-Laylee on the market.
yeah, I want to see more Yooka-Laylee. You know, I want Yooka-Laylee specifically. I don't want more games like. I want Yooka-Laylee.
Yeah. I mean, if Microsoft is gonna Microsoft and Rare not gonna do anything with Banjo, just put all our faith in Yooka-Laylee.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It'll get there. It'll get there. You know, and this quality of life stuff. Who knows? It could be bigger than we think.
Yeah.
It could be more work than we think. But at the very least, it looks great. It looks beautiful. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this little discussion, and I hope you guys also go and subscribe to Jiggy Lookback. All right, because he is really cool, and his videos are really awesome.
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, guys, Super Josh XZ signing out.